Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now November 1st of 2024, and there is no doubt about it that, by the way, Lucasfilm, one of the worst divisions over at the Walt Disney Company, is spiraling out of control as we speak. We know that the Rey movie, the Rey Skywalker film, New Jedi Order, whatever you want to call it, is in complete jeopardy right now, financially speaking, as well as creatively speaking behind the scenes between director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, Kathleen Kennedy, the Disney executives. There's a lot of back and forth scenarios happening. We'll have more to talk about that later on in the week, so stay tuned. But focusing on Leslye Headland of the Acolyte series, it seems like she can't let things go when it comes to the Acolyte ratings disaster and how season 2 got cancelled, how she was also fired and removed from several Star Wars related projects as well as multiple Disney related projects, because yes, she was going to expand her career beyond just Star Wars and into Marvel and Disney live action, etc., etc. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about Headland is that we know that she is on the blame game train in recent weeks. It seems like this is her second phase after being quiet for a while, and it really does seem like it to be their basic final approach to really trying to reel in people to go ahead and watch The Acolyte Season 1, or just The Acolyte in this case. We know that The Acolyte series, the numbers do not lie. When it comes down to the Nielsen ratings reports, the ratings do not lie, but that is something that Leslye is not willing to accept, something that many of the creators and those that were attached to the cast of the actual show are unwilling to actually accept as well. But this is where things begin to pick up, is that with the Walt Disney Company and its executives now scrambling as they head into damage control over their failed divisions, one major development going on right now involves more to do with Leslye Headland of the Acolyte attacking fans yet again after losing millions of dollars since she was fired and removed from well over 5 Star Wars projects and multiple Disney-related projects. Now, Leslye delivered the following: I would absolutely label myself as a strong, independent woman who remains very knowledgeable about this community and about this franchise. One thing I will say that is absolutely a challenge to work with is fandom culture, which is by far the most toxic thing to get involved with in 2024. Whether it's Star Wars or Marvel or whatever, you just can't win in this case with fandom culture if you are a woman, especially one that proudly is part of the LGBTQ community. Looking back at The Acolyte, I think that we had a good idea what was coming, that the toxic male demographic was going to be a problem for convincing studios to make the wrong decisions. And that was the one thing that disgusted me as a creator, that you have on one end of the spectrum loud, entitled fans shouting and making so much noise over a fictional story about what they want to see, and then you have studios that listen to that noise who end up believing that feedback to be accurate when it's not. I have said this before, but the silent majority is very real, absolutely real, and they deserve a voice. These are the fans that are afraid to speak up for themselves and to defend a story that they cherished. Had they made their voice loud, I think I would be having a different conversation here with everyone. So guys, let me just stop here for one quick moment. Now, not only is she blaming the studios and the critics, but seemingly now she's blaming the silent majority for why The Acolyte was cancelled. Now she's saying, oh, had they, actually made their voice clear, had they actually brought out their opinions into the public, that there would be an Acolyte Season 2. Now look, there's no way of knowing if there is indeed a silent majority of The Acolyte Season 1. Same exact thing happened with Tatiana Maslany about the She-Hulk series, labeling that show as holding a silent majority. I think it's basically their way to cope with the fact that the majority of fans completely disregarded those shows, wanted nothing to do with it after a couple of episodes, even after the first episode in the Acolyte's case, and just really moved on right now. I think that Star Wars is irredeemable at this point. You really can't reverse the damage. No matter what you do, you can have Luke in there, you can have all the fan beloved characters coming back into movies or television. I think it would take years upon years of successful projects one after the other without a major failure in the middle to really at least to begin to change the minds of fans out there. It would be a very big challenge to begin with, but moving onward, she goes on, I had so many wild ideas, she says, for Star Wars that I think that we would have completely transformed the franchise apart from what George built all of it on. It was the one thing Kathy and I were discussing, one, how we could actually properly address sexism and misogyny in Star Wars, and a direct way to address real-world conflicts into these amazing tales. To me, that's the priority. To me, that's the real meat of the story, to make things meaningful to the people and to society. I would say The Acolyte didn't deserve to get cancelled the way that it did, along with the many other projects that we have been working on that just didn't make the cut, sadly. And I, as a creator, find it to be the most unfair decision coming from the top based on noise, from the people as well as statistic noise. You can say what you want about critics, reviews, and ratings, but looking back at it all, the majority of all of that was nothing more than statistical noise, and it really didn't deserve to be the reason to justify a change of plan at such short notice. We deserve better than that as creators, especially a creator like myself. We created an unbiased cast and crew, where we hired those that didn't really know anything about Star Wars. So, she actually mentioned this a couple of months ago. You guys may recall, and we talked about it here many times, how Leslye Headland deliberately hired actors, actresses, creators that were actually putting this project together that knew absolutely nothing about Star Wars. And the reason why did they do that? It's because she wanted to have an unbiased cast and crew, because they didn't want any kind of creative differences behind the scenes. This is exactly why you had one of the actors doing those press interviews that said, oh, it was Anakin that destroyed the Death Star. That's why you had actors like that saying things like that, making mistakes like that, because they actually got people on there that knew absolutely nothing about the franchise at all whatsoever. You know, when you have a Star Wars product, at least these actors usually study or research the actual franchise to a degree. They know some of the basic facts. In this case, nobody knew nothing. And that's why it really seemed very inauthentic. It came across as very self-absorbed coming from Leslye Headland, using this project as a way to basically throw out her ideology into the public eye. And she said it right there, that, you know, focusing on the agenda is her priority over storytelling. Focusing on things like sexism, benign sexism to be more specific, which is just ridiculous, as well as, misogyny and all these different things getting thrown into the actual story in and of itself. That's why it lacked proper storytelling. That's why it lacked proper writing skills. It's because you're not really putting all of your energy into all of that. So overall, you know, this seems like it's another wave of Leslye Headland, Jodie Turner-Smith, Kathleen Kennedy coping with the fact that The Acolyte, people have moved on. People don't care about it anymore. It is basically, no more, and it's not even getting a second thought at this point. But overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about Leslye Headland's coping with the Acolyte ratings disaster. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.